with the words of the mighty dragon Zafros still echoing in their minds. Prince Leo, Princess Lila, and their faithful companion Tulli set out from the depths of the forest, heading north toward the Cindercliff Mountains. The first of the 4 relics, the Flame of Valor, awaited them there, guarded by the fearsome fire guardian. The journey would be long, and the path fraught with dangers, but their determination remained strong. As they left the forest behind, the landscape around them began to change. The once lush and green terrain gave way to dry, cracked earth. The trees became sparse, replaced by jagged rocks and steep cliffs. Above them, the sky grew darker, and a strong wind howled through the mountain passes. Tulli hopped ahead, his ears twitching in the cold breeze. "These mountains are known to be treacherous," he said, his voice tense. "Not many have dared to venture this far, and fewer still have returned." Lila pulled her cloak tighter around her shoulders, her eyes scanning the horizon. "What do we know about the Fire Guardian?" she asked. "If we're to pass his test, we need to be prepared." Tulli thought for a moment. The Fire Guardian is said to be a mighty creature, born of flame and molten rock. He values courage above all else. Only those with the purest hearts and the strongest wills can survive his test. Many have tried, but most have failed. Leo nodded, gripping the hilt of his sword. "Then we'll need to be ready for anything." For days, the trio traveled through the harsh mountain terrain. The air grew thinner and colder as they ascended higher, and the path became steeper. Yet, despite the physical challenges, their spirits remained strong. Each night, they camped beneath the stars, with Tulli using his magic to create a small fire to keep them warm. As they neared the heart of the Cindercliff Mountains, the sky above them took on a reddish hue. The very air around them seemed to shimmer with heat, even though the ground beneath their feet was cold and hard. In the distance, they could see the glow of molten lava flowing from the peaks of the mountains. "This must be the place," Leo said, his voice hushed. "The Fire Guardian's domain." Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and the air filled with the sound of distant rumbling. The mountains seemed to come alive, shaking with the force of something ancient and powerful stirring deep within. Tulli's fur bristled as he looked around nervously. "Stay close," he whispered. "The Fire Guardian knows we are here." The trio soon reached the entrance to a vast volcanic cavern, the walls glowing with molten rock. Streams of lava flowed like rivers through the chamber, and the heat was almost unbearable. At the far end of the cavern, a massive figure emerged from the shadows. The Fire Guardian. The creature was unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering above them, the Fire Guardian had a body made entirely of molten lava and stone. His eyes glowed like burning coals, and his breath came in deep, rumbling huffs, sending waves of heat across the cavern. His massive wings, made of crackling flame, spread wide behind him, lighting up the entire chamber. "Who dares enter my domain?" the Fire Guardian roared, his voice shaking the very ground beneath them. Prince Leo stepped forward, his heart pounding but his voice steady. "We are Prince Leo and Princess Lila of the kingdom beyond the forest. We seek the Flame of Valor to protect our people and stop the darkness spreading through the land." The Fire Guardian's eyes narrowed as he studied them. "Many have come before you, seeking the Flame of Valor, but few have proven themselves worthy. Courage is not just about strength or bravery in battle. It is about heart, about facing your deepest fears and standing firm even when all seems lost. Are you prepared to face such a test?" Leo nodded, standing tall. "We are." Lila, though anxious, stepped forward as well. "We know what is at stake, and we will not falter." The Fire Guardian let out a low growl, his molten eyes gleaming. "Then let the test begin." The ground beneath them began to shift, and suddenly Leo, Lila, and Tulli found themselves standing on a narrow platform of stone, suspended above a sea of molten lava. Around them, the walls of the cavern began to close in, and the temperature continued to rise. It felt as though the very air was trying to crush them. Tulli's eyes widened in fear. "What do we do?" he squeaked, hopping nervously from foot to foot. Lila's mind raced as she tried to think. "This is a test of courage," she murmured. "It's not about fighting or running. We have to stay calm, no matter what happens." As the walls pressed closer, and the heat grew more intense, Leo felt his heart pound faster. His instincts told him to run, to escape, but he knew that wasn't the answer. He remembered the Fire Guardian's words. Courage is about facing your deepest fears. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. We have to trust ourselves. We can't let fear control us. Lila followed his lead, closing her eyes and focusing on her breathing. Tulli, though terrified, did the same, trying his best to stay calm. The heat became unbearable, and the stone beneath them trembled, but they remained still. Slowly, the rumbling began to fade, and the walls stopped closing in. The air cooled slightly, and the pressure lifted. When they opened their eyes, they were no longer on the platform. Instead, they stood once more before the Fire Guardian, who watched them with a new respect in his glowing eyes. "You have passed the first test," he said, his voice softer now, though still filled with power. "But there is one more challenge you must face." Leo, Lila, and Tulli braced themselves, ready for whatever came next. The Fire Guardian's gaze darkened. The final test is not one of strength or even courage. It is a test of the heart. You must face your deepest fear, not together, but alone. Only then will you be truly worthy of the Flame of Valor. Before they could react, the ground beneath them shifted once more, and each of them was separated, transported to different parts of the cavern. Prince Leo found himself standing in a small, dark room. There was no heat here, only cold and silence. In front of him stood a shadowy figure, one that looked just like him. But this version of Leo was filled with doubt and fear. "You are not worthy of leading," the shadow sneered. "You are weak, afraid, and you will fail your people. They deserve someone stronger, someone better." Leo's heart pounded as the words struck deep. These were his deepest fears, the ones he tried to hide, even from himself. But he knew that running from them would only make them stronger. "I may have fears," Leo said, his voice steady, "but I will not let them control me. I will lead with courage, even when I am afraid. I will protect my kingdom, no matter the cost." As he spoke, the shadowy figure began to fade, and the room filled with light. Leo had passed his test. Princess Lila, meanwhile, stood in a room of swirling mist. Before her, she saw her family, her people, and her kingdom, all of them in danger, all of them looking to her for help. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't save them. She felt powerless, overwhelmed by the weight of their expectations. "You will fail them," a voice whispered. "You are not strong enough." Tears filled Lila's eyes, but she took a deep breath. "I don't have to do this alone. I have my brother, my friends, and my own strength. I may stumble, but I will never stop trying to protect those I love." The mist began to clear, and the fear that had gripped her heart melted away. She had passed her test as well. Tulli, in his own trial, faced the fear of losing his friends, but with a brave heart, he too found the strength to face his deepest fear. When they all reunited before the Fire Guardian, they stood tall and proud, having faced their darkest fears and emerged stronger. The Fire Guardian nodded solemnly. "You have proven yourselves worthy. The Flame of Valor is yours." With a great roar, the Fire Guardian extended one of his wings, and from within the molten stone, a brilliant flame emerged. It floated toward them, radiating warmth and light, and settled in Leo's hands. "The Flame of Valor will guide you in your journey," the Fire Guardian said. "May it bring you courage in the trials to come." With the first relic in hand, the trio knew they had overcome a great challenge. But their journey was far from over. The next element awaited them, and with it, new dangers and mysteries.